Speaker, and other positions have been returned to how they were before that removal of Mudashiru Obasa. So what does it speak about our nation? What does it speak about Lagos State? What does it speak about democracy? Especially the freedom of institutions to handle their affairs themselves without interference. Yeah, we know all of them are products of political parties and political systems. But then one would think the institutions should be allowed to function, handle their business on their own. And when it appeared like they did, that decision seemingly now has been reverted, and because some persons were mentioned, some leaders of the party, former governor of Osun State, former governor of Ogun State, Chief Adebisi Akonde and Aremo Olusegun Ochoba, and the Governors Advisory Council in Lagos, being instrumental to the overturning of a decision made by the institution. It was quite an interesting, call it emotional one for Mojisola Meranda when she stepped down yesterday. I'll allow you to take a quick glimpse, for you to hear part of what it says, and then we'll continue. Stay with me. Take a look.
I took the above decision in order to save this legislative institution from further unnecessary conflict and embarrassment. Accordingly, and in difference to the distance of our esteemed political leaders, I have agreed to yet again make a personal sacrifice by stepping down as the Speaker of this great assembly. Dear distinguished and gallant honorable members of this 10th assembly, occasionally we are confronted with esteemed overwhelming challenges in conflict management, but as a responsible leader, we will not bring down the legislative house. We collectively build in pursuit of justice and fairness. For those who have been unfairly verified for standing on the side of fair play, kindly take note that there will always be opportunity to right any wrong. I am entranced by the dialogue of personal messages, phone calls, public show of support, and groundswell of solidarity from a broad spectrum of our society. Indeed, our nation is blessed with great men and women of honor. It is my fervent hope that the leadership of our great party will continue to provide guidance and support for the aspiration of our people. I sincerely thank you all for your understanding and support. Just like we know that the party decision is supreme. At this point, I take a bow as your speaker, and I step down as your speaker of this great house. But before I leave, I have a little song. And I give the credit to one of our Islamic singers. Oreni, Oreni, ibi ẹlẹ́wàdé yìí náà, Oreni. Àwọn mọ̀ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ká tó sáré bẹ́yìn kan mọ̀ pé bẹ́ẹ̀ ni ní ilé wa. God bless Lagos State and God bless Nigeria.
All right. I think that was the lyrical Mojisola Meranda there. With that rhyme, I think if she could give, folks like Olamide and Fino a run for their money. But very importantly here, I have with me public affairs analyst, Comrade Larry Fadansi. Good to have you here, sir.
Good morning. Glad to be here.
Very well. Thank you. And you are with the Omoluabi regalia this morning.
Well, Omoluabi, we are in a state.
All right. Very well. And we are being joined virtually by another Muluabi as well, but not Donny, this particular one. He's in his work mode already. Barrister Oluwaseun Ajoba. Of course, he's a lawyer and a public affairs analyst. Thank you for joining us, Mr. Ajoba.
Thank you, my brother. Good morning, Nigerians.
All right. Thank you. Let me start from comrade here. What do you make of this brouhaha, this drama that climaxed yesterday? I'm not sure that's the right word, because many Nigerians will say possibly we have not seen the last of this series. Even HBO will be proud or, be jealous of this series that we are seeing already about the decision of an institution in which the real doubt, the reason why Mudashiru Obasa had to be removed from office, another person replaced with him, and that's Mojisola Meranda. But then, since that decision, the man was abroad, he came back and said, you guys are playing. I am the speaker. And yesterday, he rematched. He took another oath to be, said to be the speaker. Mojisola had to step down, to take back her position, even when we hear maybe there is an agenda already. But then, so that we don't preempt, what's your take on this development?
Well, from the beginning of this particular one, I said it's a different fora that the processes that led to the removal of Obasa were hasty, were not deep enough to have allowed it to happen in that quick succession of plans. And then it looked like the assemblies have that coven kind of relationship that makes them do certain things and you don't question it. It's their assembly. But then I said that, look, the issues of graft have happened with Obasa time and again, with the FCC and the rest of them. And this was not enough reason for that assembly to want him out. But suddenly, what looked like political issues came up, and within hours, purportedly, it looked like it was history. But all of that is small compared to where we are now.
Where are we?
Honestly, I just saw her speaking at some point and I just felt, well, the drama, it's another stage of it. Let me just stay up. But the song the woman sang is deeper than people might think.
Right.
See, Ireni. But as in, there is an aftermath afterwards. Because how do you tell me, if I'm a member of that assembly, and for like 2-3 weeks, we said this is done, and it's like 90% of us are on the same page.
Right.
How do I look my child in the face when I get home? And I'll say, well, Daddy, what happened to you? Were you not deep thinking when you were saying you were right? And suddenly, in a jiffy, in Senate climbs, the accusation of graft was enough reason for Obasa himself to say, look, investigate me, let me stay away from this office. So we have now...
But he has always maintained that if they have anything against him, let them bring it up.
That's maintained it after the crisis of removal. All the while, I mean, he had been investigated by graft agencies even before this drama came up. The allegations about, in the first instance, look at it this way. In the whole of this melee, the political class forgot that informations came out.
Right.
And they forget so easily that Nigeria had become a digital economy for some years. What were you worth before you got public office? And you could pay some thousands of dollars annually as rent for a property in America. Where is the income from? You understand what I'm saying? So if now you are wishing it away...
Isn't that the reason why public officials or civil servants pick up that form at the CCB to say, this is what I worth now, I am worth...
You talk about CCB,
yeah.
When at some point, chairman of the CCB were even removed on graft, allegations of stealing money. Do you get the drift? It's like we are not looking at issues deep enough. When people speak as they say they are radicals or whatever, it's deeper than that. Do you understand? My brother, this sword of Damocles, there's a legendary story, credited to Cicero in ancient Greece, that there was this Damocles of a person that stood near to power. You heard Obasa say it's from secondary school, I've been following Ashiwaju, and suddenly it appears that secondary school coven kind of thing has worked against the majority of the members of that assembly that said he must go. Do you get? Sword of Damocles. The Damocles was a follower of the tyrant king of that time, and then each time he always pandered to the leader. Oh, you are a good man, you are wonderful, and all, and so he gets favor. But at some point, he went for a dinner in the palace, and then he saw over his head a dangling sword. His head, where he was supposed to sit, and it was just a horse tail tied to that clear and present danger. That look, okay, that one now told him, what is this over my head, that leaders live in perpetual fear of danger. So he felt, me that I'm deceiving the leader knows that I'm lying to him. So if I see, if that thing shakes, that's what is coming. He said, look, I'm not comfortable here. There is clear and present danger to our democracy, and I'm happy we have a lawyer at the other end who joined. My advocacy now is that the bench and the bar must have an emergency conference. There was a time we were saying, let's have a Nigerian conference. The results did not come out. The results came out, they wrote it, but nobody implemented. But now we need to, because the judiciary has a key role to play now. It's as if the executive and the legislative have been hand in gloves enough to prevent the checks and balances that democracy is supposed to have. I don't see any reason why that number.
If there's anything about checks and balances, is that supposed to be the primary function of the legislative arm?
Not just the legislative arm.
Yeah.
And where the legislative arm appears to have been cowed by some political reasons, the judiciary is supposed to now correct that.
Let me take a look.
If we are now losing all those three, then definitely the democracy we have is in danger. I'll come to a very strong point on this. Now it is obvious that the resolution on ground is not on democratic precepts. It is not the assembly, and don't forget that every member of that assembly is representative of people from where he came. They voted for him in the party, but he is the one representing the face of their community.
That's the mandate.
And so all of those communities put together have been moved off by the actions of some extraneous forces.
All right, I will come back to you. Let me have a legal opinion. In fact, that's the main reason why I have Barrister Ajaba here today. Of course, he's a Nigerian, so he has his opinions. But then the legal angle to that. Barrister Ajaba, are you with me?
I would do.
All right. What do you say, legally speaking, on this development, that a man who was accused of graft, among other things, high-handedness, was removed unanimously on the floor of the House, even while he was away, was replaced almost immediately by the Deputy Speaker, Mojisola Meranda. The man came back and said, you guys are playing. I'm still the Speaker. Whatever you have done is a child's play. It didn't follow due process. And weeks later, the man came back, the Speaker resigned, due to the obvious interventions of the party and party leaders, political calculations and all of those things, and returned back to her former role as the Deputy Speaker. The embattled guy, that's Mudashiru Obasa, who was ousted, removed by the orders of the House, now took another oath of office as the same Speaker in the same assembly, running assembly, and he sat down and superintended before the plenary was adjourned yesterday. How does that appear in the face of the law? Is it normal? Is it constitutional?
Thank you for having me. And I think my starting point will be what Judge Orwell said in Animal Farm. All animals are equal. Some are more equal than others. To start with, a statement coming from Obasa upon his return to the country shows he knew all along that he was and that he is far above all members put together. Reason for that, I would not know. But that statement simply says that. Now, whether we like it or not, before I go to the legal aspect of it, well, you know one thing, and everybody will know that Nigerian politicians are all comedians. All of them comedians. But by the time you look at the comedy aspect at times, you want to also say, well, it may be good for our democracy. To me, our democracy is no longer nascent. But Georgia, consultation, all those ones should have their way. And when they are having their ways, it will only be good for us that way or such way will not be taken too far. Now, coming to the legal aspect of it, part of what Obasa was accused of was and is corruption. Unfortunately, we have the FCC and some other bodies who investigate corruption, corrupt practices. These bodies at many times, at some occasions, have invited this Obasa. They have not come up with anything against him, so to say. Because if there is anything concrete, arraigning him will be everybody's, will give everybody happiness. But they had looked at it from that angle. There's nothing. Now, removing him when he was not on seat, of course, will breach his right to fair hearing. A body that is competent to investigate has investigated, have not come up with anything, indicting him of corruption. And when you are now talking of high-handedness is a matter of, sincerely, is a matter of, is a subjective matter. If somebody might be high-handed the way I would look at it, and he might not be in his own, and some other person might not see as being high-handed. So it's something that is subjective. But being objective about it is the issue of corruption. And the body that is competent, established by law, had investigated. And they are not saying anything serious against him. And you want to remove him, you didn't try that when he was on seat. Wherever such is happening, of course, there will have a breach of his right to fair hearing, because you must hear him. I mean, you won't shave somebody's behind him. When he was there, are you afraid? Are you afraid of him? Or is it that you think this man will kill us if we say it while he's there? Now that is away, not just away to Abuja or to somewhere else, to outside the country. That was when you knew that you wanted to do such. To a reasonable extent, the man might not have done it so wonderfully, so nice, but then the members of the House also breached a fundamental issue there. They should have waited. If they have something, what stop them from putting it
Barrister Jabba, so I get it clear, are you saying the process of his removal was illegal?
Yeah. When you are talking, you can't shave somebody behind it. The normal thing is there, you accuse him and you find the necessary thing. There are procedure. You don't do such in somebody's absence. You have breached his fundamental right to be heard fairly. So if it's not there to be heard fairly, how then do you say you have done it? If it is done anywhere and eventually
sorry, so many persons have brought up the question of removal and impeachment, that possibly what you are referring to, it will only suffice during process of impeachment, but during removal, many persons have argued and say it doesn't need to be there. It is a removal, not an impeachment.
Removal, impeachment, sincerely, when it comes to the issue of the House or the press or executive or something, it is mere playing on words. Somebody was occupying a place by votes of our votes. Now you have surrendered the powers to that person. That person is exercising that power in the way we want him to do that. Now the person is away. You are saying the power has been taken over. In whatever manner, impeachment will have to follow some things. Removal is not automatic. Everything you do in the House has to follow some process. Part of that process is that this person is denied his right to be heard. Removal it follows after impeachment. So if he's not impeached, it cannot be removed. And that is why the man said, oh, this is child play, you are all joking. I am coming back. And he was able to, pull the strings, the political leaders could see reasons within. I have not been tried of any corrupt practices.
Right.
And now when they are doing, if they want to do this, I don't say they should not do it, but they should let me know what I have done.
All right.
So
Barrister Joba, because of time, I beg your pardon.
Okay.
Now, I'm asking about the legality that, is it granted, is it possible, is it legal that a speaker who took an oath of office for whatever reasons that was given was removed, and because he needs to be reinstated, will take another oath of office, 2 oaths of office in the same running assembly? Do we have precedence to that?
Well, there are precedents, but then let me talk about its legality. Upon removal, automatically it becomes a member, a floor member, ordinary member. Now is now coming back to that position. It's not as if at the time somebody had not occupied that position. So if you are now coming back, he is, as it is starting afresh from only yesterday. Are you getting it? It's starting afresh from yesterday, though it's more of a resumption, but there has been certain break, which means the oath and the oath he took earlier on had lapsed upon the removal, upon the impeachment, whichever one we are choosing. The oath he took at that time at the lapse. So he must come in afresh. And that is why you see somebody, for instance, the vice president like Jonathan, Goodluck Jonathan, when he was serving as the vice president. And when he came in upon the death of Yaradua, he took oath of office. Now he ran an election and he won. He had to take another oath. So it's more like an end of an era, beginning of another one. So there must be oath of allegiance. And
it is the same legislative house. It's the same running legislative term.
Because it's a fresh appointment for him. It's a new one. Somebody must have gotten up to say, okay, I'm nominating him for appointment. To be appointed our speaker. That's why somebody saying I'm stepping down. Because of that there will be, so it's agree, and that person was also reappointed. So the person reappointed who stepped down must also take the oath of office.
Legally speaking, this is not strange, and people should not look at it like like something unusual.
No, it's only procedural.
All right, I'll come back to you. You had the barrister. You give us the legal angle to that. I need your take on that. But then I need to ask you about political interference, because for the Mojisola Meranda that stepped down, he spoke and mentioned names. For Mudashiru Obasa that stepped up again, mentioned almost the same name. Intervention of the party, the APC, that's the majority of the party in the House. That's the majority in the House. Former governors, Baba Konde and Remo Shoba, and of course the Governors Advisory Council, told have intervened. But what does this say about the institution and the freedom they enjoy to handle their matters themselves? Or are we saying all of them are still prodigies and, pardon my words, puppets of the past that be?
Well, some eyes see in the dark. And if you followed some of the reports of that event of yesterday, I could see some reports that the likes of Desmond Elliott was weeping.
Right.
Because you ask yourself, are we so young that we cannot think deep enough? Or are we being run by a coven? That's the truth, the exact word for it. Because it looks cultus. How can you resolve issues that as grown adults, some 40 of us, 30-something of that 40, are of the opinion that there must be a change. And some, like God of the machine, just came around and said, we are putting you on reset mode. Because this is reset mode. And tells you to forget every other thing or view or opinion that you have held.
Including the allegations made.
All those allegations, you can now imagine, are you now telling the public that those allegations are not rife again? Do you know as much as the fact that they even said the trip of Obasa to the United States was to look for a lady friend that was like his personal exchequer? And
allegations.
What I'm saying is in public space.
Yeah.
Yorubas will say
anybody could come up with any allegation.
Just like they mentioned the names of Baba, they mentioned a particular name of a lady. Do you get all of these things? And suddenly you are telling Nigerians, just look away. The construction that was bogus that they said he did, just forget. Because we are doing reset mode by political affiliation and not necessarily on account of what he has done. And it is dangerous. What still, I think the ruling party should have to go back into his cocoon and sit tight and watch. You don't fight too many battles at the same time. What is looking like, okay, for instance, right now, the few people that were with Obasa, by way of speaking, have defeated the majority of the assembly members in Lagos. That's on one stroke. The majority in Rivers have defeated the governor's minority. That's true. We have seen such happen in Imo, same party.
Right.
You understand? So when you're looking at it, it's like the barrister said, George Orwell's Animal Farm. 2 legs good, 4 legs bad. And so those who are on 4 legs stood up and said, okay, we are also on 2 legs now because power is with us. It is not working out as it should, and we should be careful because it portends great danger to the democracy we say we run. Rule of law and the rest of it, we are waiving it. Process and procedure, we are waiving it to leadership and control.
Allow me hold your thought. We'll see having much longer. But I understand, Barrister Ajaba is a busy man. So let me just take a question and I'll allow him go. Barrister.
Yes. So.
Now, we hear from the grapevine that even the restatement of Obasa is towards a particular goal. Maybe that is not the full stop. It's just a comma. Some have been saying it's just to manage the situation, and have him, instead of the removal, maybe we wait for development today to see maybe he will step down and another speaker will emerge for political expediency, all of those things. If that, assuming without conceding, happens again, that Obasa steps down, another person takes oath of office to say, oh, this is the new speaker now. Now, all of a sudden, the allegations against him, whatever has been made to be the reason to say, reinstate this guy so that he can resign, there is no deleting button that can make Nigerians to forget whatever has been said. Number 2, does that make us helpless? Or are we tools in the hands of the powers that be? And if actually another speaker emerges, will it still be legal to say it's still the decision of the House? If you understand what I'm saying.
I have said something the other time, but I would like it or not. Life is actually lived on consultation, judgment, and things like that, particularly in the political terrain. You can hardly do anything, whatever we are seeing in the face, in the open, more often than not, particularly in the politics, and not only in politics anyway, virtually everywhere, is a product of certain people's decisions, whether we like it or not. So some people are saying, okay, Obasa has been a good boy, maybe, or he has been nice doing this, but now that majority of his people are against him, I think he has to go. But if he wants to go, he should go in a more decent manner than the treatment being given to him. Well, that be it. That also, in a way, will mean that the opinions of the majority is actually respected. But just the kind of face saving for somebody who had been there all this while, one of the things Obasa should be facing is unnecessary presiding over as per the period. He has been there unnecessarily too long. So eventually, if they are giving him that soft landing, why not? So that at least they want to see something, let's save his political career. Now that he has stepped on toes and some other things who are not among the leaders. Of course, for the leaders to be negotiating on his behalf, that means he has actually been good to them. He has been nice to them. Maybe by way of
So where does this, I'll take this as your parting shot, where does this put the independence of the institutions beyond the political system and the hegemony?
Well, you will have when Miranda was speaking, Miranda was making a speech. Said party decision is supreme. So it is more so
over the state institution?
Over the state what?
You said, Miranda said, party's decision is supreme. I said ahead and over the institution of the state?
Well, it depends on what, most of these things, when they happen in the house, they come to be by negotiation.
Right.
Okay, where is this coming from? Where is the speaker coming from? The governor came from Lagos, this, and speaker should be come from this place. Those ones are not legal, They're not, legal person. No, of course, there should be representation across,
right.
But those ones are not, they're not really something that cannot, in many places, there have been times that most of those things have been jettisoned for political reasons too. So it's not as if those things are sacrosanct. Fine, there are requirements of law that, okay, this thing should go around because of the nature of our country, nature of each state. But you see that most of those things will happen, and some of them will not happen because of the person that is involved. It may not really be the best for us, but these are things we have been putting up with in Nigeria. And well, to some extent, a time will come that we have a stronger system, and maybe by that time we'll be able to do things the way they should be done, strict to sense. But for now, if Obasa is being given a soft landing, well, I think saving his career will not be something that is too bad for him. More so that those allegations are still unfounded. There has not been specific pronouncement on any of those allegations that, oh, you are guilty of this, you are guilty of that.
Right.
But it has fine. It's time to come that majority will not like somebody that is unnecessarily, once you are, like they will say that somebody overstates is welcome.
All right.
There's no reason for anybody to continue to preside over a house in 4 or 5 times. It's not a family.
All right, thank you, Barrister.
Family something.
Yeah.
So somebody should also know when I'm overstaying my welcome.
Very well.
That should really be.
Oluwaseun Ajaba is a public affairs analyst, social commentator, and lawyer. Thank you for your time and take, sir.
Thank you, and I greet Nigeria once again.
All right. And very well. We'll go on this quick break right now. When we come back, the conversation will continue. We will take different angles to this matter because it's about the democracy. Just like Barrister said, it's no more nascent. It's no more, after 24 years or thereabout, or 25 years of democracy, we have to do better. Stay with me.